Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football gods, the ones that are up there and the ones that are down here, because we definitely going to need some help from the football gods here if this season is going to be what we want it to be. It was a late night last night. We ended up starting out at 9 o'clock. I think we finally signed off around 1:30. Woo! And, of course, here I am. First thing this morning out here talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, the first rule of preseason is get out alive. Get out without injuries. And this is where you're, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, you have to start feeling a little bit concerned because we are beginning to get some nagging injuries as well as some major ones. Last night, Neville Gallimore, the Canadian bulldozer, a three-technique guy who we were looking to have a lot of great things, ended up hyperextending his elbow last night during the game. Typically, a hyperextended elbow, basically, your elbow's gone past where it's supposed to go, okay? You know, literally, it will pop out of the socket and then get back in. Typically, treatment, of course, is ice right away, wrapping that sucker up, painkillers, and not using it for about 3 to 4 weeks is usually the timetable. However, we don't know until they do the MRI how severe it is, but Mike McCarthy in the post-game interview said that it is significant. It is significant injury. To me, that's a bit to worry about because Neville Gallimore, again, he's only a second-year player. He came on like gangbusters. During the chat last night, during the live stream, it was funny. It wasn't funny, actually. It was sad because we have so many people who act like they know what they're talking about in football and really just don't have a clue. You know, they'll say, oh, you're all bent out of shape about a guy who's done nothing in the NFL. He's a bum. He didn't start till about the middle of the season. And I want to just give you a taste, because we had just started scratching the surface of Neville Gallimore. Let me just give you a taste. Mike Pouncey is probably going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Give him about 5 or 6 years. All-Pro center, 7-time Pro Bowler. And I just want to show you a taste of what we were actually getting from Neville last year, at least in that Steelers game. And hopefully the football gods won't get me on this, but you see him here circled right here. You watch the movement that he has. Passes the double team, gets in the backfield, and gets the running back. If you understand that one of the biggest problems we had last year was stopping the run and getting penetration on the from the defensive line standpoint, you look at a guy who had no offseason, no OTAs, and a shortened training camp and didn't get an opportunity until the middle of the season to actually start playing. And you see the amount of movement, how physical and athletic he is. And this was under Mike Nolan as a coach. When you start taking a guy like this that has speed, that has quickness, that has 320 pounds of weight, and is able to move like this, that is a game changer for your defense. Watch him just literally you see this? He took Mike Pouncey, threw him out of the way on his way to a sack. Now, unfortunately, that was an amazing athletic ability by that guy. Unfortunately, some of you out there don't seem to understand the role of the interior defensive lineman. The role of an interior defensive lineman is A, occupy space. Don't allow the guards to get onto the linebackers. You're not there for glory. You are there to keep the linebackers clean so they can make plays. That's rule number one of defensive line fight school. Occupy space, occupy the offensive lineman, and hold your gap. Anything beyond that is gravy. So what happens is a lot of guys will say, well, heck, he only got 4 sacks in the season. Yeah, because the defense is designed for the outside rushers to get the sacks. If that defensive lineman is doing his job and pushing the pocket, then your defensive ends or your outside linebackers will feast. If that defensive lineman is doing his job, teams become one-dimensional because they can't run up the middle. If that defensive lineman is doing his job and able to push up the field, then that quarterback has less time to throw the football, thus less time that the cornerbacks have to hold up. Everything is predicated on the defensive line, and that, unfortunately, is one of the problems for the Cowboys is our defensive line has had a soft underbelly. Gallimore was part of the change for that defensive line in doing that. He was the new generation of guys that can get upfield, much like a Leon Lett, that can get a big push, that teams have to say, we don't want him to beat us. And if the Cowboys are losing him for significant time, it hurts our defense. Make no mistake about it. Now, this, in a way, I guess will help a Tristan Hill because now the Cowboys won't cut, of course, Gallimore, okay? He's not going anywhere. But this does end up opening up more opportunities for other guys to step up to try and fill the role, at least until he gets back. So this is definitely good news if you are Tristan Hill, who is still on the PUP list. Another thing to sit here and worry about, too, is, a lot of people are saying, where's Randy Gregory? Why isn't Randy Gregory out there playing? Because we know D-Law didn't play, and we know Randy Gregory didn't play. Apparently, Randy Gregory has a hurt foot and did not make the trip to Arizona. He ended up going to Dallas to get treatment. We don't know the extent of Randy Gregory's injury on his foot. We just know that Randy Gregory did not play because of it. It may be one of those things that it's a precaution to make sure that it doesn't get worse. He wanted to play. He needs to play some in preseason because we are still really just scratching the surface of Randy Gregory. This is Randy Gregory's first preseason since his rookie year. And again, this is another guy who we are relying a lot on, and we want to make sure these guys are healthy. So we'll have to wait and see when the MRI takes place. I think Dax is scheduled for Monday. I would imagine that they're going to try and do Gallimore sooner than later. He ended up taking a long time to get off the field, which is concerning. And it was a long time before he came out of the locker room, which also is concerning. There was supposedly a lot of pain from this, and this may be a severe one. I don't believe typically surgery is required for the hyperextended elbow, but there may be some tearing of the ligaments that are in there, spraining it, causing it to be a longer thing. And as you can see, the problem for a defensive tackle like him is your arms are key because you must be able to fight pressure and use and be able to push off. So this could be something that lingers beyond the 3 to 4 weeks. This could be something that keeps his arm weak. And if you think about DeMarcus Lawrence, who had the labrum surgery in April, having to rehab that shoulder all off season, it kind of stunted his season going in because he physically was still not having all the strength that was there. And this is going to be the problem for Neville Gallimore. We need him. We truly need him. And I hate to say it, but, at first when I saw the injury, I thought that it was a broken wrist or something like that. Broken bones, you can have a soft cast with, and you can still have the strength that's there. Hyperextended elbows, you have to immobilize it, and you're not going to be able to use it the same way. So, yes, this is a major concern. The Cowboys, of course, lost it in the last second of the game off of a field goal. We did have some good things that happened, although this game was a lot more sloppy than our first one. Mike McCarthy went on last night and said that this past week of practice was sloppy, and it truly carried into the game. We had some, unnecessary roughness penalties on Bradley and I. We ended up having some drop passes by Michael Gallup. These are things that, partially are because we've got a lot of new guys that are playing in preseason and you don't have Zeke and Dak and all that. But some of this is things that we must clean up if this team is going to go anywhere into the future. But don't go off too much about the play that you saw on the field. Don't get too excited. Don't get too upset, because this is preseason, and it's not truly a game that you're game planning against the competition. What you want to do, like I keep saying, is the only victories you want to have is getting your guys out of the game healthy. And by my measure, we lost this game if we've lost Gallimore for any length of time. We'll have a lot more here for you guys today. Today at 3:30 Eastern, basically 6 hours from now, we're going to start another live stream. We'll be doing our fantasy football draft. My God, our first group draft. And if you're still interested, if you want to be part of our fantasy football leagues, we're going to be doing our second draft next weekend. So this is basically, this is me and Mike J and Philly 500, DMV, and this is the first one. This is to give you a taste and start building the excitement of fantasy football and getting us ready for the season. And in case you hadn't noticed, we're only 26 days, 10 hours, and 31 minutes and 50 seconds away from kickoff against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With that being said, you know how we roll.